Hi guys, we're back with another book today.
And it has been a while. Oh, it has been a while.
Until someone told us this. Miss Nelson is missing.
Yeah, well, Miss Kristoff found this book on the floor in the classroom that she took over. No joke, in the storage closet. I moved a box and it was underneath the box, and I probably literally shrieked with joy because this was one of my favorite books when I was in elementary school. And you can see this is pretty beat up, and it's super special because, and I'm going to see if she wants it back, but I hope she doesn't. Miss Frankie's book, Please Enjoy and Then Return. That was my son Liam's 5th grade ELA language arts teacher, and I am in her old classroom. But anyway, let's carry on.
By the way, guys, Miss Kristoff is the person that is making the video.
Yeah, and I really feel like I relate to this book at this point. I kind of need a... Anyway, you'll understand in a minute. Here we go. Miss Nelson is Missing by James Marshall. Miss Nelson is Missing. We can assume that Harry Allard illustrated it and James Marshall wrote it, since James Marshall's name appears on the cover right there. I'm assuming there's Harry Allard up there. It'd be nice if they identified that. But anyway, I think that the illustrations and the words coincide so well that it was hard for them to really, celebrate one over the other. This book was originally published in 1977, and you can tell. It's cool though. Here we go. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling. Paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. Now settle down, said Miss Nelson in a sweet voice, but the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. They were even rude during story hour, and they always refused to do their lesson, something we have all done. Sorry, I messed up. I'm tired. Something will have to be done, said Miss Nelson. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. Wow, yelled the kids. Now we can really act up. They began to make more spitballs and paper planes. Today, let's just be terrible, they said. Not so fast, hissed an unpleasant voice. A woman in an ugly black dress stood before them. I am your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp. And she rapped the desk with her ruler. Where is Miss Nelson? Asked the kids. Never mind that, snapped Miss Swamp. Open those arithmetic books. Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. Work to be done. 1, math. 2, poems. 3, English. 4, history. 5, geography. They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work. And she loaded them down with homework. Look at all those books they're bringing home. They can't even see where they're going. That is dangerous. We'll have no story hour today, said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut, said Miss Swamp. Sit perfectly still, said Miss Swamp. And if you misbehave, you'll be sorry, said Miss Swamp. The kids in room 207 had never worked so hard. Days went by, and there was no sign of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. Maybe we should try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmog was assigned to the case. He listened to their story. He scratched his chin. He said, I think Miss Nelson is missing. Detective McSmog would not be much help. Other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn, and no one answered the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the wicked Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. They got away just in time. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by a shark, said one of the kids. But that didn't seem likely. Sharks, very unpleasant. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid, but that didn't seem likely either. I know, exclaimed one know-it-all. Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carried off by a swarm of angry butterflies. Excuse me.
But that was the least likely of all.
Excuse me. The kids in room 207 became very discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with Miss Viola Swamp forever. They heard footsteps in the hall. "Here comes the witch," they whispered. "Hello, children," someone said in a sweet voice. "The capital of England is London. The capital of Sweden is Stockholm. The capital of Japan is Tokyo. The capital of Italy is Rome. The capital of Greece is Athens. The capital of China is Peking. The capital of Denmark is..." It was Miss Nelson. "Did you miss me?" she asked. "We certainly did," cried all the kids. "Where were you?" "That's my little secret," said Miss Nelson. "How about a story hour?" "Oh, yes," said the kids. Excuse me. "Oh, yes," cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour no one was rude or silly. "What brought about this lovely change?" she asked. "That's our little secret," said the kids. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it in the closet right next to an ugly black dress. When it came time for bed, she sang a little song. "I'll never tell," she said to herself with a smile.
Wait a minute.
P.S. Detective McSmog is working on a new case. He is now looking for Miss Viola Swamp.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Did you figure out the mystery?
If
If you did, comment the mystery.
we hope you loved this little vintage find from 1977. Have a great night.
Good night.
Happy
Like and
Friday.
subscribe.